Hello everyone, this is Matt from Real World Review, and today we're going to replace the battery in the Moto Z Play. Now I've already done a video on how to remove the screen, so I'll just play that for just a little bit so then you guys can see generally what you need to do. If you want to watch that entire video, there will be a link in the description below. So anyway, the tools that you will need will be a T3 driver, a razor blade of some sort, a plastic pick for prying, a playing card for prying, some B6000 glue, and some heat. Also, to go with that glue, I highly recommend using clamps. So like I said, here's a video on how to remove the screen. Pretty much you just want to heat up the edges, get a blade to lift up the screen, then use a playing card to cut through the adhesive. You always want to make sure to get under the screen or else you could damage it. Always take your time with this because this is a delicate process and you don't want to break the screen. Once the screen and home button are unplugged, you want to grab the T3 driver and remove the bottom screws. Once those screws are removed, you want to remove this bottom panel, and what you want to do is pry at the top of that. Once that piece is unremoved, let's unplug the battery cable and start removing the battery. Now there's a bunch of adhesive on this battery, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to remove. What I recommend is using a pick or maybe even a card to kind of cut through this. But what you want to do is make sure not to use any metal of any sort. You can try and use this pull tab right here, but it doesn't really seem like it does anything at all. Like, really doesn't. Maybe it gives you a little bit of space to put this card in, but even then, that's not that much. So I recommend cutting through the adhesive on the right side, maybe using a little bit of heat, but you don't want to add too much onto here. Eventually, you'll cut through a decent amount of adhesive so you can start to kind of pry on this battery. Make sure the battery doesn't bend and make sure it stays somewhat flat or else you may cause some other damage to the battery. Now the battery will start to lift up, and once it separates from the phone, you can remove all this adhesive. So here's the new battery. There's no adhesive on this one, and your battery should look like this with the cable on the bottom. So since there's no adhesive, what I'm going to do is put a strip of adhesive right here. I don't want to add too much because I don't really need too much. The screen is going to keep the battery down anyway. But we'll add a little strip right there, push down on the battery, make sure it makes a connection. And then we'll grab the plastic panel and put it back into the phone. You want to start with the bottom piece and then clip in the side panels. Once everything seems flat, you want to grab the T3 screwdriver and put in all the screws. These screws don't go in any specific order, so they can kind of just go wherever. But like I normally recommend, always keep these screws in order. Now the next thing I want to do is plug in the screen and test to make sure that the battery is working. Now make sure you clean up all the adhesive on the screen and on the frame, and then we can move on to the gluing process. Now remember, before putting on the screen, you'll want to remove any of the original adhesive and add your own. Then what I'm going to do is add adhesive to all sides of the phone, so I'm going to start with the right side, going like this. And then I'm going to move on to the top. And then I'm going to move on to the bottom. And then I'm going to move on to the right side. Remember to make sure not to get any glue in the microphone area or it may cause issues. Once everything looks nice, push down on the screen and apply the clamps. And while you're at it, you might as well test the phone. And it looks like it's working fine, so we're going to apply all the clamps and we're going to let it sit for a while. So I let it sit for about 30 minutes, and we're just going to push off all the clamps. And there's a bunch of excess glue, so I'm going to just push that off. This glue is really nice. All you need is just a fingernail and it should fall off. And that's it. Remember, all links will be in the description below. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section or on Twitter @MattofRWR. And feel free to follow me on the social media listed above. Also subscribe to my channel so you can see more videos like this and other review videos as well. And hit that bell button so then YouTube actually reminds you when those videos do come out. Thanks for watching.